Have you ever wished you had a clear plan, like a real blueprint, for navigating the tangled world of addiction? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today with Oliver Rolfe's book, The Addiction Blueprint. This is really a guide for anyone whose life has been touched by this, whether it's your own struggle or you're supporting a loved one.
The goal of this book is to offer a clear path through all the chaos. And honestly, the cover art just nails it. It really visualizes that journey from feeling completely tangled up and stuck to finding clarity, growth, and, just moving forward. So why call it a blueprint? Because when you're in the thick of it, in that overwhelming fog of addiction, having a structured plan, well, it's everything. This book is designed to give you that framework, to define a clear path when it feels like there's no way out.
Now, this is the core concept right here. It's about understanding addiction not just as some timeless problem, but how it exists today in our world. And that means looking at all the modern stuff, from crazy workplace burnout to how social media plays into it, to get a full, complete picture of the challenges we're all facing right now.
But to really get the blueprint, you kind of have to meet the architect first. The author's own journey is really the heart and soul of this book. This isn't just theory from a textbook. It's a guide that comes from real, lived experience. And that's what makes it so powerful and authentic.
If not me, then who? This was the question that really drove the author, Oliver Rolfe. As a successful CEO, you might not expect him to be the guy to write a book on addiction. But this one question, it shows you exactly why he felt he had to.
Like so many of us, Oliver just hit a breaking point. He was juggling this high-demand career, family, his own well-being, and he found himself totally running on empty. His decision to finally get help and go on what he called a well-being reset was the spark that led him to share his story and insights with all of us.
Okay, so now that we get the why behind the book, let's take a little tour of the what. We're going to look inside the blueprint itself, and you'll see it really does tackle addiction from every single angle. It's a truly comprehensive, holistic approach.
So the guide is broken down into these really clear sections. It kicks off with the fundamentals, like the 4 C's. That's craving, loss of control, compulsion, and facing consequences. But then it dives right into modern issues, like the link between burnout and addiction, and that often hidden struggle of high-functioning addiction. Where someone looks successful on the outside, but is dealing with a serious problem on the inside.
But listen, understanding the problem is only a half the journey, right? The real power of this blueprint is in its solutions, the actual actionable steps and proven frameworks it gives you for the path to recovery.
And right at the heart of the recovery plan are these 4 pillars. The book's whole argument is that you can't just treat the behavior. You have to rebuild the entire foundation of a person's life. If you neglect any one of these, physical, mental, spiritual, or social, the whole thing is unstable. Real recovery means taking care of all 4.
And this is such an important question to ask because the ripple effect of addiction is just enormous. The book really gets that for every single person who's struggling. There's a whole network of family and friends struggling right there with them.
And that's why a huge part of this blueprint is dedicated to loved ones. It gives you guidance for navigating that incredibly difficult journey of supporting someone. It even explores really complex topics like codependency, where your own actions, even with the best intentions, can accidentally end up enabling the addiction.
The main message here is something we all need to hear. You can't pour from an empty cup. The book really drives home that family members have to prioritize their own healing and self-care. It reminds us that addiction is a family disease, and recovery really has to be a team effort. This quote, which is featured in the book, just perfectly captures the spirit of recovery. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's all about forward motion, no matter how small that step feels.
So, with that spirit of just keeping on moving, let's focus on your next step. What's one thing from this blueprint that you can maybe take with you starting today?
Look, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that you are not alone. Whether you're the one seeking help or you're trying to help someone you love, this book and so many other resources are out there. There is hope, there is community, and there is support.
And hey, if this overview was helpful for you, please give this explainer a like and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to build a really supportive community here to share resources and just reinforce that message that nobody has to walk this path by themselves.
And that brings us to our final thought, which is a key principle from the book itself. Instead of getting overwhelmed by thinking about forever, just focus on today. So I'll leave you with this question. What is one small step you can take on your journey just for today?